You know that feeling, right? You spill coffee on your shirt, and suddenly it feels like the entire universe is conspiring against you. Every traffic light turns red. Every single email feels like a personal attack. And by 10 a.m., you've already written the whole day off as a complete loss. Well, here's the truth. That's not bad luck. It's physics. It's a hidden psychological law that takes one small negative thing and compounds it, like interest on a debt, until your entire emotional state is completely bankrupt.
Now look, most people try to fight this downward momentum with sheer willpower, right? They tell themselves to just be more positive. But that's like trying to shout down a hurricane. It just doesn't work, and honestly, it leaves you feeling even more drained. So in this explainer, we're not giving you platitudes. We are giving you a system, a precise three-step protocol designed to structurally break that negative spiral and deliberately, powerfully flip your day. Let's dive in.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the momentum paradox. Then we'll get into the science of the negative spiral. We'll give you the complete three-step system, explain the brain chemistry that makes it work, lay out your action plan, and finally, show you how to truly master your mood.
Okay, let's start with a really foundational shift in thinking. What if your mood wasn't like the weather? You know, something you just have to passively put up with. The core idea here is that your mood isn't just a feeling. It's an active force. It has direction, and more importantly, it has momentum.
And this is what we call mood momentum. It's just like an object in motion stays in motion, right? Well, so does your emotional state. A good mood tends to create more positivity. But a negative mood? Oh, it's way more powerful. It actively goes looking for more evidence to justify its own miserable existence. But here's the paradox. This overwhelming force isn't random. It actually operates on predictable principles. So, we don't fight it with willpower. We break it with a structural interrupt, a precise, physical action that literally shatters that negative loop and launches you onto a brand new, positive trajectory.
So, to interrupt that negative loop, first we have to understand exactly how it works. And listen, this is not about blaming yourself for feeling bad. This is about diagnosing a biological and psychological process, because a bad day unfolds with almost scientific predictability. So why is it that one critical comment in a meeting or one rude driver on the way to work has the power to just completely hijack your entire day? It feels so disproportionate, kind of illogical, doesn't it? Well, the answer isn't in your circumstances. It's buried deep inside your brain's ancient wiring.
The main culprit here is something called the negativity bias. It's a survival mechanism, really. For our ancestors, overlooking a bush full of berries wasn't fatal, but overlooking a tiger hiding in that same bush, that was. So our brains evolved to be like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. It's why one insult can sting way more than 10 compliments. And this bias doesn't just make us notice the bad stuff more, it forces us to dwell on it, which just amplifies every single negative emotion. This bias kicks off a predictable and pretty vicious chain reaction. First, some small negative thing happens. Second, thanks to that negativity bias, rumination begins. You start replaying the event, analyzing it, dissecting it from every single angle. Now, this isn't just happening in your head. It triggers a physiological cascade, which leads to step 3. Cortisol spikes. Cortisol, the main stress hormone, floods your system. It narrows your focus, drains your creative energy, and puts you on high alert. And that chemical bath leads straight to step 4. The negative momentum accelerates. With all that cortisol, you're now primed to see neutral events as negative ones. The slow person at the grocery store, now they feel like a personal attack. The spiral literally feeds itself, chemically.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. It's a predictable neurochemical spiral fueled by our ancient brain wiring. Now let's introduce the solution. And this is not some vague suggestion to think positive. This is a precise, actionable, 3-step system designed for one thing: trajectory control.
So here's the framework. First, the trigger audit, to catch the spiral before it even takes hold. Second, the pattern interrupt, to physically break that chemical loop. And third, the positive trajectory lock, to launch and secure a new positive momentum. Let's break down each step. Step 1 kicks in the moment you feel that negative pull. The trigger audit is just the simple practice of developing some self-awareness. You have to catch the emotion as it's rising and, this is crucial, label it neutrally. So instead of thinking, I am angry, you create just a tiny bit of space by thinking, I am noticing a feeling of anger. This small linguistic shift is absolutely profound. It moves you from being the victim of the storm to being the observer of the clouds. You are not the anger, you're the one noticing it. This prevents what's called emotional identification, where the feeling just completely hijacks your identity.
And now for the most critical step. Once you've labeled the emotion, you immediately execute the pattern interrupt. And notice that word mandatory. This is non-negotiable. You cannot think your way out of a cortisol loop. You have to act your way out. This is a deliberate 3-minute physical and cognitive break, and its only job is to create a physiological shock that disrupts that negative chemical bath in your brain. You are literally changing your body's chemistry to change your mind. Physiology always comes first.
So what does this actually look like? Well, it has to be something that demands your body's full and immediate attention. A short burst of high-intensity movement is incredibly effective. I mean, drop and do as many push-ups as you can, or a minute of fast-paced burpees. Another powerful tool is cold water exposure. 30 seconds of splashing your face with the coldest water you can get, or even a quick cold rinse. The shock forces your brain to abandon the mental rumination and just focus on the physical sensation. And the most important rule is right there. No screens or analysis allowed. Checking your phone is not a break, it's just another form of rumination. This is a clean, physiological reset. Period.
So, the pattern interrupt stops the bleeding. Step 3, the positive trajectory lock, is what starts to build forward momentum. Immediately after your 3-minute interrupt, you have to execute 3 consecutive small wins. These are simple tasks that follow the 2-minute rule. If it can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it now. Make your bed. Send that one quick confirmation email. Clear the junk off your desk. Each tiny, completed action releases a small hit of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of reward and motivation. By stacking 3 of these wins back to back, you create a cascade of dopamine that builds this powerful positive feedback loop. You're not just stopping the negative spiral, you are actively engineering a positive one.
Okay, we've covered the what. Now let's get into the why. Because this isn't magic, it's a targeted hack of your own brain chemistry. And understanding the science is what will give you the conviction to actually use this system when you need it most.
So here's the core principle. Most self-help tells you to change your thoughts, your cognitive state. But when your brain is flooded with cortisol, trying to argue with your own negative thoughts is like trying to reason with a toddler having a tantrum. It's totally useless. This system works because it bypasses all that and hacks your affective state first, your underlying physiological feeling. By using a physical pattern interrupt, you directly target your body's chemistry. You change your body to change your mind. Your thoughts will follow your physiology, not the other way around. It's called physiological priming.
And you can see the immediate impact. Before the interrupt, your cortisol levels are sky high, fueling all that stress, anxiety, and rumination. The intense physical action forces your body to shift resources and focus, which effectively flushes that cortisol right out of your system. The drop is significant and it's measurable. You're not just imagining you feel better, you have chemically altered your internal state to be less welcoming to negativity.
And then comes the positive offensive. After you complete your 3 small wins, you get this surge of dopamine. And dopamine isn't just about feeling good, it's the chemical of motivation. It boosts focus, drive, and your sense of capability. By stacking those wins, you're creating verifiable chemical proof of your own competence, which directly fights back against that negative self-talk. You're systematically replacing the chemistry of stress with the chemistry of reward.
The final piece of this scientific puzzle is behavioral momentum. It's a principle from psychology that perfectly mirrors physics. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. By forcing yourself to complete a simple chain of successes, you create a forward trajectory. Your brain, now enjoying those dopamine rewards, finds it so much easier to tackle the next task and the next. The hardest part is always just getting started. The momentum stack makes starting not just easy, but almost automatic.
Okay, theory is great, but execution is what really matters. So let's get ruthlessly practical. This is your direct, command-based protocol. Think of this as the emergency procedure you run anytime you feel that negative spiral starting to pull you down.
Here it is, stripped down to pure action. 1. The second you feel that negative emotion, stop. Label it. I am noticing frustration. I am noticing anxiety. 2. Move for 3 minutes. No excuses. High-intensity exercise or cold water. Just do it. 3. Immediately after, stack 3 small wins. Execute 3 tasks that take 2 minutes or less. 1, 2, 3. That's the protocol. Burn it into your brain.
This rule is so crucial, I'm gonna say it again. During that 3-minute pattern interrupt, you have to resist the urge to think about the problem. Your brain will be screaming at you to analyze what happened, or plan your response, or just distract yourself with your phone. Do not let it. The purpose of this break is not to solve the external problem. It is to fix your internal state. This is a physiological reset, not a problem-solving session. You can approach the issue with a clear, capable mind after you've reset your chemistry.
All right, as we wrap things up, let's just zoom out for a second. This system is more than just a tactic for bad moments. When you practice it consistently, it represents a fundamental shift in your entire philosophy towards your emotional life.
And this is the single most important takeaway. For most of our lives, we're taught to just tolerate our feelings. We treat them like random outcomes we have no control over. This framework teaches the exact opposite. Your feelings are not your boss, they are your data. They're inputs, signals from your body and your environment. And your job is not to suppress them, but to manage them skillfully. This system is your management process.
So let's put it all together. Mood momentum solves the huge problem of emotional reactivity and those awful negative spirals. And why does this matter? Because it gives you a systematic way to manage the compounding forces of emotion. The pattern interrupt is your emergency tool to disrupt the cortisol loop, and the momentum stack is how you generate real behavioral momentum by flooding your brain with dopamine.
Because ultimately, this isn't just about feeling good, it's about being effective. Your emotional state is the foundation for your focus, your creativity, your decisions. And remember this, true productivity isn't about doing more, it's about mastering systems that make focus effortless.